Hello everybody, this is Dan. Can you guys let me know using the question field that you can hear me? All right, great. So let me apologize for last time. We actually had a power outage at our California office about 2 minutes before the webinar was set to start, so I apologize about that. So what we're going to do today is talk about resident camp registration, billing, and check-in for Girl Scout councils. So with Doubleknot, we've done a lot of resident camp registrations over the last couple of years. So we've gotten really familiar with the setup, configuration, and kind of needs of Girl Scout councils in terms of event registrations. A lot of times Girl Scout councils start with Doubleknot for facility reservations, and we've seen over the last couple of years a lot start using us for events and resident camp as well as adult trainings, all different types of events. So what we want to do today is go through kind of an overview of resident camp and how it fits within Doubleknot. So what we'll do is we're going to go through some main setup options you have for building resident camp. It's really going to be kind of an overview of your options, and then we can kind of discuss, or through additional trainings or through support, we can talk about your specific setup. So we're going to go through this today, and if you guys want to use the question option in the GoToWebinar window, you guys can submit questions at any time. If this will also be recorded, so we'll post in the training videos section. So let's go ahead and get started. So you'll see here on my screen, the first thing we're really going to start with is creating resident camps. We're going to talk about standard options for what I call standard camp setup, and then we have a price tier option for camp. So we have a lot of people a lot of councils that want to give their users the option to choose a price tier, a price that they're comfortable paying, and we can build that within Doubleknot. We're going to talk about registrant types and capacity options because there's a few different ways these camps are set up, so I'm going to kind of show you both those options. And then we're going to talk about categories, and categories are important in the way that you organize your events, not only for yourself and your staff, but also for end users and how they come to your website. Okay, and how do they want to view your resident camps and what you offer? So we're going to talk about how to use categories to kind of maximize that, the usability for your customers. Next, we're going to get into forms, and we're going to talk about registrant, building a form, displaying as registrant attributes. And then we're going to talk about building a form to collect really comprehensive camper info, all the options you have for camper information. So a lot of times, we have two kind of ways to do this. Some Girl Scout councils collect everything in Doubleknot. Some collect a little bit of information, then attach an actual health form like on the receipt. So we'll kind of talk about both of those options. We'll get into your payment options as well. Discounts and late fees, payment schedules, billing reminders, discount codes for scholarship or cookie rewards. So we'll talk about all these options. We'll go into care packages and how to build a care package and using upsell to actually sell your camp care packages. Last thing we'll go through is day of camp solutions. So we have our sales station application has been very useful for camp check-ins. So not only can you check someone into camp, but they can pay a balance due. You can also sell merchandise day of, like maybe additional t-shirts or care packages when the parent or guardian drops off their daughter for camp. Last thing we want to talk about is your subscription and cost. So all packages that you guys, all Girl Scout packages for Doubleknot include event registration features, but you do want to check your service level before starting. So bronze is limited to 2,500 registrations annually. And then silver and gold have unlimited registrations and lower transaction fees. Additional allowances like above 2,500 can be added to bronze. So if you guys have any questions, you can contact David in sales, or you can contact support, and we'll get you over to David as well. So if you have any questions about my contract level and how much space I have for registrations, just let us know. we'll get you that information, but it's also in your contract. We do training on event registration. So you can purchase a block of 4 hours for $600. You can use all of that time for training and help with building. We can do all types of other professional services like newsletter design, custom reports, and that stuff doesn't expire. So if you purchase 4 hours and you only use 2 of it, you can use it next year or for other projects within Doubleknot. So everything, again, what we're going to talk about today is kind of just an overview. I'm not going to dive into every single detail of event setup or form building, but there's previous webinars, and you also can use support, and you guys can dive into this and build out your camp. So you don't necessarily need to purchase training, but if you want to get something, get your resident camps up within the next 2 weeks or something, then maybe purchasing training might be the better route to take. Either way, you can use support, and we'll, of course, help you review any setups that you have, answer any questions. So again, as we go through this, you guys can use the dashboard question field to ask questions, and I'll periodically check that. Also, if you guys want to just write down your questions as you go through the webinar today, you can email those questions into support, and we'll get back to you in the next couple days with all the answers on those. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And again, we're going to start with the basics of creating resident camps. So let me go ahead and get this fired up. So what you're seeing here is on my page now is the feature list for our demo site. So this is on our demo site, so it's a little bit slower, but it's going to serve a purpose for this is where I build all my demos, and we have all our test setups. So I'm going to go to event management here. And when I come to event management, we're really going to be dealing with calendar activities, because that's really where we build Girl Scout resident camps, as individual calendar activities using categories. So the first thing I want to talk about is kind of what I call standard camp setup. And again, every Girl Scout council is a little different, but most of them fit into a few different molds as far as camp goes. So there are some camps that are by week. So here is week 1, and all the grades are with, we have multiple sessions within week 1, but really there's not different themes. So we want to set up camp where it's week 1 and all the grades are in week 1 and they register all within the same time. There's other councils that have it where, we have week 1 and we have all these sessions with week 1, but we really separate them by grade level, because those grade levels have different themes of camp. So those are the 2 things I'm going to show you. I have this thing called Adventure Days, and then I have this one called Week 1 grades 1 through 8. And these are the 2 main options that we see with resident camp. This one, Adventure Days, is grade specific. So this camp is set up so that this is the grade level, and this is Adventure Days is the theme. And it's only for 2nd to 3rd graders. And this is week 1, and I would build, a different theme for the next grade level. So that would be a different event. This one right here, called Week 1 grades 1 through 8, is everything included. So let's look at Adventure Days. So this event is called Adventure Days grades 2 to 3. If I edit this, you'll see that, again, it's grade specific. So it's Adventure Days. This is a specific event for 2nd to 3rd graders. There's no registrant types. It's just a single cost, and I'm collecting the names of each of my campers. So it's a very basic grades 2 to 3 resident camp. Let's take a look at the other option that we have, and then we'll kind of test it out and see what it looks like. So if I go here, week 1 grades 1 through 8, you'll see it's a bit different. It's still a regular calendar activity. It's 1 week, 7/8 to 7/13. But the real difference is that I'm collecting my grade levels as registrant types. So instead of having individual events for 1st grade, 4 to 5, 6 to 8, 2 to 3, I have all my grade levels within one event. And it really depends on the exact parameters for your setup and the needs for your council. But this is obviously a bit easier to set up because you're not you're not doing individual events per grade level. And there may be requirements that prevent you from setting up one way or the other. And that's kind of where we'll come in when you guys send us an email saying, well, this is what I want to do. How would you approach this? And we can help you with that. This also allows you to set max registrants per type. So, your capacity for week 1 could be, 35 girls, or more likely more than that, 70 girls or something. You could break that up then by type, if you wanted to. We could say, the capacity is 40 and we have 10 per grade level. And that way, you have everything within one event, but you can still control capacity by grade level and set wait lists by grade level. So you can still do all those controls within one event. And again, the reason you would set this up is if your camps aren't really themed based. If all the grade levels have the same kind of event, you're not worried about, well, grades 2 to 3 is adventure days and they have a specific theme and maybe a slightly different location, and maybe their check-in time is a bit different. So if it's really not theme specific, then you could set your resident camp weeks up with one event with multiple registrant types. So if we take a look, so I'll be periodically going through this and kind of testing these out. So if I go through, I can take a look at my, say, adventure days, for example. And I can take my event URL here and I can copy this. I can drag this window in here so we can kind of take a look at this. So here's my Adventure Days camp. I can select Register here. So this will simply say, please select the number of campers attending the session. And I can select how many campers that I want to attend Adventure Dates grades 2 to 3. Now, if I go through and look at my other option, which is all my grades in one, it will just look slightly different. The rest of the camp, which we'll see when we talk about forms, will look very similar because the form setup can be really isn't dependent on that registrant type setup. It's really going to be the same kind of form look. But I do want to show you the difference on that how many page. You'll see once I select Register Now, you'll see, okay, how many, and I actually select the grade level at this location. And you'll see the name of the event's just week 1, grades 1 through 8, not theme specific. So again, really depends on how you guys offer camp, as well as the specifics, right? The gritty details that could decide how we set up your specific camps. So the next thing I wanted to show you with resident camps before we kind of get into categories and then forms is price tier setup. So we can do price tier. So we have a number of councils that want to set up camp where they have prices, but they have people with different income backgrounds, and they want them to choose a price that they're comfortable with paying. So we can actually do price tiers through what we call price groups in Doubleknot. So I'm going to show you that setup. So if I go to the Utilities tab and I go to Manage Price Groups to the lower left here, I can build price groups. So price groups are used throughout Doubleknot really for different pricing options. It really hides pricing for a group. So a lot of times you see this in like facility reservations where you have Girl Scout group, nonprofit group, out of council Girl Scout group, and there's different pricing based on that group selection. So we're using that function for price tiers. So I can say new price group, and I can say tier A or something like that, and I can say tier B. So I'm just going to add 3 tiers of pricing. And I can say new price group, and I'll say tier C. So I built each of these price groups. Now that doesn't mean much to you right now, but let's go see what that looks like in compared to the other setup that I showed you. So I'm going to say done. I'm going to go back to calendar activities. And I'm going to take my adventure days grades 2 to 3, and I'm going to copy this so I can create another version of it with price tier so you guys can see what the difference looks like. And I'll take it out of test mode. I'll say grades 2 to 3 with tiers. I'll just call it that, and I'll copy this event. So when we built this event initially, what I did is I just set a price per person, which is $375. You're naming the camper, and I'm collecting $375 per person. Well, I'm going to change that because I'm going to use price groups. I'm not going to have a price here. I'm going to save this. And what I'm going to do is, actually, I do have to set a price here because I'm collecting payment because I saved it that way. So I'm going to save that here. And what I will do now is use price group schedules here. So what I'm going to do is select price group schedules. And what this basically says is, what pricing do you want? So what this will list is all my available price groups. And you remember I just built tier A, tier B, tier C, and then I also have Girl Scout group, nonprofit group. I'm not going to use any of those. All I'm going to use is tier A, tier B, and tier C. I'm going to set an effective date. So I'm going to say from this point on, 11/14 on, or I can set any date in the past or the future. So the effective date, I'll say 11/13. That's when this pricing takes effect. And I basically can set how much each of these options is. So I can say tier A is $375. They feel comfortable paying $375. This one, I'll say $350 and $325. So these are each of the offerings that they can pay, and I can save this. So what this now means is that they can choose a tier, and it will then charge whatever I set as the price for each of the tiers. So most of the time what people will do is put participant instructions so people know what they're looking at. And again, bear with me here, you'll see what this looks like. But I'm going to go to participant instructions. When I do that, I get two fields for instructions. I get my participants instructions, which is on the how many page. And I also get the price group instructions. And so I can put any spiel I want about our tiered pricing. I think I put, what was it, 375. Again, I'd probably make this look a lot better if I was doing it, but I'll keep it simple for now. And I'll say C, 325. Whatever. Most people have a lot more elegant spiel than this, but you get the gist of it, and I'll save it. So now, if I actually look at this event, there's going to be a step in front of my how many. So if I cancel this one, what I can do is now when I click register from this page, you're going to see a step, and it's going to say, we offer tier pricing. Please choose an option below, 375, 350, or 325. So they choose an option, and from this point on, they don't see any difference. So I can choose tier A, tier B, whatever it is, and then I get to the how many page, and the pricing is already chosen for me, or I chose the pricing. So nothing is different beyond this point besides how much it costs per person. So I chose B, so it's $350 per person. So that's kind of a way we accommodate that tiered pricing, is using price groups schedules to build those in. So let's take a look at categories for resident camps. So when you build any resident camp in Doubleknot, you can assign that event to up to 3 different categories. So if I scroll down here, what you'll see is category 1, 2, and 3. So I can come here and assign this to any category that I choose, any 3 categories. So the benefit of categories is really 2 main things. When I'm in event management on the main page here under calendar activities, I can toggle by category, and I can view any events by category. I also can present camps by event, present camps to users by category. And I can build as many of these categories as I want. So if I go to utilities here, I can go to this under event categories and go to manage categories. And I can add as many of these categories as I want. I can also modify my category. So I built a brownie category for my grades 2 to 3. And if I modify this category, you'll see a category URL. So you can use this URL from your website that says, hey, interested in our brownie camps, go here. And they can go to this URL. And what that URL will present to them is all the events in that given category. So you'll see each of my adventure days options here. They're available, space available, a little description, total people registered, and I can click register and then sign up for this event. So an event, again, can be in up to 3 different categories, but you want to think about how you are going to use that, because you do want to strategize, okay, do we want to do it by location? Do we want to do it by week? Do we want to do it by grade level? So grades 2 to 3, you know, how you can put them in up to 3, but that's really it. So not only do you going to link to those from your website, but you're going to link to those within Doubleknot. So from your website, you could say, view all our camps in week 1, and they can click on a category URL that takes them to all the events that you've assigned to the week 1 category. Once they're on that page, that category URL page, you're also going to have links up here in your Doubleknot header. So they'll be able to navigate to other categories. So up here you could have, you know, instead of summer camp week 1, you could have grades 5 to 6. You could have CIT weeks. You could link to any other categories in your any one of your other Doubleknot categories. So you do want to think about, okay, how do I want to arrange these in the most efficient way? I can use 3 of them, but what's the most efficient way for me to organize these for my end users? And so you're going to link, most people will link from their website either by week or by grade level. And then once they're in Doubleknot, they'll use their header URLs or their header to build URLs to their other Doubleknot content reservations, as well as category URLs to other summer camp or events. So you have all those options within the application. Okay, so let's move on to the second step, and really usually the most time-consuming step, which is building forms within the application, and then assigning them in a couple different ways. So as part of registration, any event registration, Doubleknot, you know, you collect the basic information. What's their name? What's their phone number? Their email? You know, you can collect those basic registrant attributes. Forms allow you to actually collect all other event registrant information, emergency contact information, allergies. Is this a Girl Scout member? Do you need financial aid? Can we use the photos, the photo opt-in, all that other stuff that's required as part of registration. So what we're going to talk about is kind of your options with forms and how it looks as part of registration. So this should kind of give you the full picture. So if I go to the Forms tab here, I've built just a couple forms for our example's sake. So I built a grade level form that I assign to my specific grade levels for my events. I built a form called grade level brownies. So let's take a look at that first. And this form just has one item. So if I edit this form, you'll see that the only item on this form is grade level. And what I did is just added a drop-down menu. And it's a simple drop-down menu. It has grade level as the question, and I'm offering 2nd or 3rd grade because this event, again, you'll see what this will look like. This event is for 2nd and 3rd graders, but I want to know specifically, okay, is this a 2nd or is this a 3rd grader? I also put this here because I don't want people to sign up the wrong grade level. So even though it's clear as day, this event is for 2nd to 3rd graders, when they sign up, I want them to only have the option to choose a 2nd or 3rd grader. I kind of put that second layer in place so you don't have people registering for the wrong level. So I have my simple drop-down menu that asks for grade level. Very simple, basic form. If I go to form properties here, I have these options, these basic options. I can show form progress, which I don't really like it that much. It kind of shows the progress they're clicking through the form. You don't need to worry about these e-card options. Display in one page, that is good if your form has logic, and we'll talk about that more in a moment. It displays the form all on one page, and then you have this option that says, if used, other registrations in shopping cart autofill with the same info. And that is, if I'm registering for multiple camps and the same form is attached to those camps, don't make them fill it out more than one time. I'm not going to do that for this form. So that's the first form that I built, just a very basic grade level form. The next form that I added is a camper information form. So let's go to this form here. So I have, if I edit this form, you'll see this one is a lot more comprehensive. It's not nearly as big as some of the forms we see with Girl Scouts, but it kind of gives you an idea of what you can do. So I have a header item here that says camper information that I added. I have various items to collect t-shirt size, so I built the drop-down menu that collects their t-shirt. I said one free t-shirt included. I have a buddy name field so they can type in the camp buddy name. I have an allergy field that says please list describe any special needs, allergies, dietary restrictions, etc. I built an option for emergency contact info. So it says name, relation to camper, home phone, cell phone, name, and then a second optional emergency contact. So you guys can really, again, this is a free form area. So you can build in any kind of questions you want. You can do emergency contact, you can do parent guardian information, you can do doctor and insurance information. We allow you to build and collect really any items you want on the form. You got to be careful because you don't want to bog down the registrations too much, but you definitely have the option to build in completely customized form collection. I built the second page on this form, and I just built a very basic photo opt-in. So I said, let's build a photo opt-in. I built a little header item. I used this HTML item to build in a very basic, I permit photographs of my daughter kind of a thing. I can say, do you give permission? Yes, no, a very simple radio button. I then did a waiver agreement, and I just kind of copied from one of our existing clients, kind of chopped it up, simplified it, but just gives you an idea. You can build in your waiver here. I built in a checkbox item that allows me to, they have to agree to terms. So I'm not letting them register unless they check this box that says I have read and agreed to the above. The way I did that is using checkboxes. So the item type I used was checkboxes. I said waiver agreement as the text, and I said I only gave them one answer, which is I have read and agreed to the above. And the way I made them answer this is I used this option for minimum and maximum to choose. So I set that to 1. So you got to look at this and you got to check the box that says I have read and agreed to the above. So that's how I made this a required option. So some people will also put a lot of these waiver forms because they need maybe like a doctor's signature that they've gotten their all their vaccinations or whatnot, or for whatever reason they require a doctor's signature or a hand signature. So you can also put attachments on receipts. And so links to documents, I should say, not quite attachments, but you can put links to documents within the receipt confirmation message. So if you guys are interested in that, let us know through support and we can send you a little video on that. Maybe I'll put the video on the webinar page as well, so you have a link to that. But you have that option for agreement, waivers and agreements. This again is a pretty basic form. As I said, you can collect any other types of additional information. You could build, a lot of people want to build in financial aid requests. So you can actually have a yes/no question that says, is this camper requesting financial aid? And if they say yes, you could have conditional logic that then asks all of their financial aid information that you need to collect, and then you can then review that information, decide if they want to actually, if they're eligible to receive financial aid. So I built this form, and now we'll talk about kind of the form properties on this one. I did select this option that says autofill with the same information. The reason being is if they register for multiple camps, I want this information autofilled for the other camps. I don't want them to have to fill that out twice because all that information pretty much is the same per individual event. So I set this one to autofill so they don't have to fill it out if they're registering for multiple camps at one time. So let's go take a look at how these forms are attached, and then we'll go all the way through the registration so you can really see the process of how this works, kind of give you the full picture. So if I go to calendar activities, I'm going to go to my Adventure Days grades 2 to 3, my regular event, and I'm going to go to assign forms. So what I've done here is I've assigned both of these forms using this option up here. I chose my form and then I clicked assign. So you'll see I have my camper information and my grade level brownies form that I built. We looked at both of these. I marked them both required because I need both of these filled out. You can't register unless you fill out these forms. I did not select before adding registrants because that just wouldn't make sense. If you select this option, it shows up as the first thing within registration, which is good if you want to prompt them for some information about registering or something like that. You can put it before registering. That doesn't make sense because I need this per each registrant. So I assign this form per person because I need the camper info per girl and the grade level per girl. There's only one registrant type, so it's assigned to all of them. And then we have display as registrant attributes. So I selected display as registrant attributes for my grade level brownies form. And we'll get a full picture of this in a moment, why I did that. I'll point that out. So let's test this. So if I take my event URL here, and I'm going to go back to my other browser where I'm not logged in, or I don't even need it, I can just click register here. I'm going to select register, and now I'm going to get to the participants page. So when I select a number of campers, you'll see that I have first name and last name because I set this event up for named registrant. So I'm going to say, and my grade level shows up as registrant attributes. So again, I'm going to jump back now. You'll see when I assign this form, I marked that form, my grade level form, that simple drop-down menu, as display as registrant attributes. And because I checked that box, it now displays right on this front page when I select a number of scouts. So that's where grade level shows. So you can have any form you want display as registrant attributes. You just want to think about how many questions you have. So I didn't want to put my camper information form as registrant attributes because that would be way too much information. So all I've done is added grade level as registrant attributes. And if I click continue, now it goes into my actual camper registration form. So here's my registration form. I can choose the t-shirt size for Jenny. Buddy name is Carrie. Friend. Again, you guys can collect any information you want. I'm going to say continue. It will go to my photo opt-in. So I can say, do you give permission? Yes, no. Whatever I want. Waiver agreement. I have to select this option. I can click continue. Once I click continue, I land in my shopping cart where I can check out and make a payment. I could also say keep shopping if I wanted to go and add a different event to my shopping cart. So if I wanted to register for a different camp or care packages, I could do that. So hopefully that gave you kind of a picture of those forms and how I attach it. Again, what I really did was I set that grade level as registrant attributes, and then I set my camper information form just required per registrant, and then it shows up on the kind of a second step between the participants page and the shopping cart. And again, these forms are free flowing. You can really collect any information you need as part of the registration. So hopefully that gives you kind of an idea of what you can do with the camp setup and the forms and how the flow of the registration will work. The next thing I wanted to talk about was some kind of the payment options we have. So you'll see most of the time you're not going to charge people, the full $375. So we have the option to build in discounts, late fees, payment schedules, billing reminders, all that good stuff. So we're going to kind of briefly talk about that option. So for any event that I build, I can have a payment schedule. So again, I'll start from the event management page. Any event that I build, like again, picking on adventure days, grades 2 to 3, I can have individual discounts and payment schedules. So when I build this event, if I come here and edit this, I have a basic $375 per person. Again, named, registering, collecting the names, and I'm charging $375. You can apply discounts and late fees to that amount. So you could say, early discount applied before, late fee applied after. I could say, you know what, if they sign up before 12/1, I'm going to give them a $10 discount. But if they sign up after 6/1, I'm going to give them a $10 late fee. So you can add, or not 6/1/2017, that wouldn't be good. 6/1/2018, I'm going to give them a $10 late fee. So you can build simple discount and late fees based on registration date. So again, this is based on when they register. It has nothing to do with when they pay. It has to do with when they register. So you can always build simple discounts and late fees based on registration date. The second option you have for discount late fees is using payment schedules for that application as well. So you can build a payment schedule, and within that payment schedule have pay in full, late fees, and discounts. So you can give people incentive to pay in full. So most of the time we see pretty basic payment schedules with resident camp. So what I mean by that is it's usually just, hey, pay a deposit and your balance is due, a couple weeks before camp. So again, you can build any individual payment schedule you want. So I can say payment schedules here, and it says, do you want to build it on fixed dates, meaning enter in hard dates, or just enter the number of days from registration? I'll say fixed dates, and I'm going to click Add Schedule Item 1. So in the payment type option, I can choose, okay, what's the first item you want to put? Is it a deposit per registration, per person? Is it percentage or balance due, pay in full? I'm going to say it's an amount deposit per girl, per registrant. And I'm just going to call it deposit. And I'm going to say the total fee is $375, but you have to pay a $50 deposit. And I'm going to click at registration. So I'm charging a $50 deposit per registrant when they register. They have to pay that. I'm going to click Add Schedule Item 2. And I'm going to say pay in full. So I'm going to say if you pay in full by I'll say 4/1, I'm going to give you a discount per person, a $15 early discount. So if you pay in full by 4/1, I'm giving you a $15 per person discount. I can build that into my payment schedule if I want. And then I can say, well, your balance due is really due on, balance due is due on, 6/1/2018. So I can build that kind of discount into a payment schedule. I don't have to have that. I can just say, balance due, at the balance due 6/1. That's what most people have. It's pretty basic kind of a setup, which is just you have a deposit that you have to pay at registration, and your balance due is on 6/1/2018. That's usually the payment schedule that people have. You'll see, here's my payment schedule. Deposit 50 per register net registration, and your balance due by 6/1/2018. So we have a question that came in on discounts. It says, can early discounts or late fees be removed or added back office in case of registration error with a customer? So you can adjust a balance at any time, but you can't really adjust. You can't go in and edit the event and change the discount or late fee because that will affect everything. So you don't want to do that. But you can absolutely adjust any registration payment record. So if someone for some reason had a problem registering, or you just want to give them the discount because they came in a day late because they missed a flight or something, you can go in and edit any registration payment record. So you can tell them, complete the registration, pay your deposit, and we'll go in and give you the early discount. And you can go in and issue a miscellaneous credit payment adjustment and reduce their balance by any amount that you want. So technically, yes, you can. Okay, so now that I built this very basic payment schedule, I can come in here and actually add billing reminders to this. So I can come in here, once I have a payment schedule defined, I can select notifications. And you can actually build notification reminders for your balance due. So I can say enable reminder, and I want to send this out 10 days, I'm going to say 2 weeks before the balance due, and I'm going to send it 2 weeks after, and I'm going to send it every 7 days. So I'm going to send it twice. I'm going to send it 2 weeks. So what this basically means is that I have a payment due date of 6/1. And so I'm telling the system, send out the reminder 14 days before that date, and then 14 days after the payment due date, I'll send them a late reminder if they haven't paid. These do not go out if they don't have a balance due. So what I'm telling it is send it out 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, and then send it every 7 days between them. So what I'm doing is really sending it, I'm really sending it twice. I'm sending it once 2 weeks and then once 1 week out, because I'm sending it 14 days before, 14 after, every 7 days. And what that will do is basically just send them a very basic reminder that says, hey, here's how much you owe, here's how you log into Doubleknot and pay your balance due. So if you have payment schedules, it is, I don't know why you wouldn't have the notifications. It just saves you some time not chasing people down. So now that I have my payment schedule, I can easily set up those notifications or billing reminders. And again, that's really a no-brainer if you have a payment schedule, because it just sends them that really simple reminder. Along with discounts on the event, and discounts in the payment schedule based on payment date, you also can build discount codes or scholarship codes. So we have a lot of councils that offer scholarships or financial aid. And as I said while we were building that form, or showing you how I built that form, you can add a question in there that says, would you like to apply for financial aid? If they say yes, we ask questions about whatever questions that see how they qualify for financial aid. They'll come in, pay their deposit, fill that out. You guys will get that data in a report that says this person asked for financial aid. Here's the information they provided. If they do qualify for financial aid, you guys can then build them a discount code that they can use when they pay their balance due or whenever to reduce their balance by whatever amount that you choose. So you can do this on an event basis. So you can say, well, they registered for Adventure Days, so I'm just building that discount for Adventure Days. Or you can say, hey, you qualify for financial aid. Use this code for any event that you want. So where will we do that? I can build a discount code on a specific event by choosing the event and selecting discounts right here. I also can build discounts on choose an event or choose any event under the Utilities tab. So if I go to Utilities, I can choose Manage Discounts, and I can say New Discount. And what this will allow me to do is choose an event. So I can choose my grades 2 to 3, my specific event that I want to build. I also can say any calendar activity. So I can say, I just want to build this for Adventure grades 2 to 3. So I'm going to select that event. and then I'm going to say this discount is active, and the description would be I'm going to say FA Financial Aid Jenny Scouter. That's the name of the person that I'm building this for. I don't have to say that. I can say financial aid. I can put whatever description I want. That shows up in the shopping cart when they enter in that code. I'm not going to worry about register and info. This is a very basic code. All I'm doing is an amount. So I'll say Jenny Scouter qualified for $100 of financial aid, and the discount code is going to be Jenny FA. That's the code that I'm going to give them for the financial aid. Now, the important option for this is apply this discount once. So I could build the generic financial aid $100, and call it FA 100 as the code. And I could give that out to whomever qualified for $100 of financial aid. Most people want to keep it a little tighter than that and build one-time use codes. So if they're building these, I want to build this person, specifically for a person, and I'm going to build an individual code for every single person that qualifies for financial aid. Again, you could have this not as a one-time code, but then you might be a bit concerned about that code getting out and multiple people using it. This one time means Jenny Scouter can only use this code one time. It can't be used more than one time. Once it's used once, it's inactive for any other usage. So I can click add, and now that code is in place, and I can email Jenny's parents or parent or guardian and say, okay, Jenny qualifies for financial aid. Use the code JennyFA in the shopping cart when you go in to pay your final payment. And they can go in, use that code, and they'll get $100 off their camp fee. I could also take this code and assign it. So I can assign this to other events. I can say, well, Jenny, you can register for, any of these camps you want. You can use that code on any of these events. So I can assign it to multiple events, and Jenny doesn't just have to use that on Adventure Day. She can pick and choose which camp she wants to apply that $100 financial aid to. Okay, so it looks like we have another question. It says, does the customer have to enter the code, or can the code be applied by the council? Good question. Yes, the code can be entered by the council as well. So you don't even have to contact Jenny's parents or guardian. You can go in and actually update the registration and just enter in that code, and it will reduce the balance by that amount. So you don't have to tell them to go and enter the code. You definitely, as an administrator, can do it yourselves. So that's a very, very basic, code here. I can come in here and register. I can sign up Jenny for my event. And when I get to the shopping cart, what you'll see is a discount code field right here, discount codes. You'll also see my payment schedule. So you'll see my amount to pay right now is $50. I can pay in full, or I can pay any other amount above the 50. So I also have my discount code. So I can say Jenny FA. I can apply that. And you'll see that here's my discount, and that's the description, FA Jenny Scouter. And I reduce that balance by 100. So the total's $275. I still got to pay 50, but the total's $275. I can say check out, and I can say I want to mail this in, and I'll say and I can complete my order, and so I can generate a receipt with my event. So I hope that kind of gave you a picture of what you can do with discounts, late fees, payment schedules, all of that. Last thing, or second to last thing I want to show you guys is camp care packages. So we do have a lot of clients that want to do care packages. So we could do care packages as part of a form on a registration. On that camper form, I can have a page that says, would you like to purchase a camp care package? And you say, yes, I want to purchase package A. The problem with that is that the package itself, the monies for that would be represented in the account for the camp event. So when I build an event in Doubleknot, like my adventure days, when I build it, I assign that to a financial account. So you'll see I have my deposit payments into a Resident Camp 2018 financial account. Now, most of the time, people, if councils are selling care packages, they can't have that revenue recognized in a Resident Camp account. They need it in a merchandise account or some sort of different financial account. So what we do is we actually build a separate event for care packages. So I have an event here called care packages. And again, I'm going to go through this kind of quickly, but again, I want to show you guys kind of the options here. And if you want to know specifics, you can of course contact support and we'll help you go into the specifics. But what I did is I just built an event that lasted my entire length of camp season, 7/8 to 8/31, whatever it is. I didn't set any pricing. What I did is I said skip individual registrants. And so I actually set it to everything is built on a form in Doubleknot. So I built it all within a form on Doubleknot. And then I assigned this to my camp merchandise financial account. So what I've done is I've built my entire care package order on a form in Doubleknot. So if I come here and if I go to forms, you're going to see a care packages form. And I just built a very basic care package form. But if I edit this, you'll see I found this nice image on Google Images. But usually what people will have is an image of all the care packages that they offer, all the merchandise. You could have t-shirts and sweatshirts and any kind of package items you want to sell as additional items of camp registration. You could have them choose a package and then go to a different page that lets them choose the size of the sweatshirt, the color of the sweatshirt, different options within the package. I just built this real simple. Select the package, and again, this image would normally say, well, in package 1 you get this, package 2 you get this, package 3 you get all this, whatever it is, and they can basically choose a package option. Again, very basic. Just wanted to show you the functionality. So I built this very basic form with a HTML item with an image in it, and then a simple radio button that lets them select which package they want to choose. So what I'm going to do is two things. I'm going to use a feature we have called upsell, which allows us to upsell items in a category. And so I'm going to come to utilities, and I'm going to select manage categories. And I'm going to build a specific category for care packages. So I'm going to add a category, and I'm going to call this care packages. I'm going to save that. So now I've built that category. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my care packages event and actually assign it to that category. So I'm going to say, okay, what categories is it? I'm going to assign it to one category called care packages. So I'm going to save that. So now this event, my care packages event, is in the category I built called care packages. I'm going to take my next event, my adventure days grades 2 to 3, and now I'm going to edit this. And so what I'm going to do is now use a feature called upsell. And if I go to edit the event and I scroll down to categories, you'll see an upsell option. So what this means is that you want to upsell a certain events within a category. So a lot of times we have like spring day camps, and girls are registering for spring day camps, and the councils want to upsell like adult education or resident camp. And so you can actually upsell any categories of your events. So when they're done, right before they're done registering, it says, hey, you may be interested in these, and it will present them with any events within the category that you select. So for resident camp, I'm going to upsell my camp care packages. So when they're done registering, it's going to say, hey, are you interested in a care package? So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to save this. And I'm going to go and take my category, my event URL, excuse me, and I'm going to say done here. And okay, I can just use this here. I'll say register. I'm going to say register here. Hopefully this isn't cached. And I'll say 1. The 3rd grader. Say no. And I can say checkout here. And now you'll see right before I get to that page, it asks me other items you may be interested in, care packages. And so it lists the name of the event. So I could come here and probably change the name to something a little more descriptive than care packages. So I could say resident camp care packages, gift of care package, whatever you want to call it. And that would appear right on this page before they get to the payment page. So I could say, yeah, proceed to checkout, or I want to add that to my cart. And if I add that to my cart, it basically allows me to choose whatever care package I want. And again, very basic form here, but I could add all types of options within care packages. I'll say, yeah, I want to get care package 1. Add that. And now you'll see, as part of the checkout, not only do I have my adventure days, but I have my care package as well. So it adds that fee to my registration. And I have to pay $50 for the deposit, and I have to pay my care package in full, so I owe you $75 right now. So I have one question come in. It says, how many tender types can you use for payment? So for payment, we have credit cards, all major credit cards. We have PayPal. We have e-check. We also offer a couple gift card options, so Vantiv gift cards. So a lot of councils use Vantiv gift cards for cookie dough credit, and those allow you to basically have a reloadable gift card, so you guys can manage a cookie dough balance and then reload or adjust their balance, and they can pay for that. That shows up as a payment option right here. It'd be a gift card icon, and they can actually pay with that. So next question I have is, would you use the same thing if you wanted a parent to have their option of adding money to the camp store for a camper to use during the camp session? Yeah, you could absolutely do that. You could have multiple events. Like instead of building my category called care packages, I could have it called like camp add-ons. And I could have an event for care packages. I could have an event for camp card load, so you could add money so they can use during the camp to an account. You could sell t-shirts. You can do any kind of add-ons you want. But yes, you would do the same thing for money for the camp store if you wanted to use it in that way. It really depends on where you want the money to be represented. The reason we have separate events for care packages is, again, usually that money needs to be represented in a merchandise account. So if your money's for camp session, like your camp store money is in a different account, then yes, absolutely would use the same thing for that. It says, if we don't want to set up the camp registration ourselves, what is the fee? So it depends on, you can use professional services and we can set it up. We charge $600 for 4-hour blocks. So it really depends on how many camps you offer. So if you're interested in that, shoot an email to support and just give me a basic rundown. This is our offerings for camp. How many hours would it take? And we may need to have a phone call, or I can just quote you through support. But it really depends on how big your camps are. Can you use more than one tender type per transaction? Not per transaction. So the system will, if someone has like a debit card or a gift card and it doesn't have enough balance to pay, we'll prompt them to split the payment, but they can't pick and choose that. So that's not an option for them. Well, I want to pay right now. I want to pay 25 on my deposit on this card and 25 on the other. They can't do that. The system will prompt for split payment if it's a debit card and it simply doesn't have enough money on there to pay it. But they can't choose a split payment. Can you add other back office tenders, program rewards, cookie dough? We really use, for cookie dough and other back office program rewards, we use discount codes or Vantiv gift cards. We don't offer other, we can't build in other payment types like here because this is a universal screen. So it's not like we can just add in a custom type here. If you have all your camp kits on the form, how do you report to know how many camp kits of a particular type are needed for a certain week? So what you can do is if we've had, again, packages can be built in a variety of ways. So if you have care packages that are week specific, you can, most of the time what we see people do is they'll choose a care package and then we'll do a drop down and say select the week of camp you want this used for, and then that's all in reporting. So you can do filtering or build your report so that it lists it by week and session. That's usually what people will do for that. Can people make partial payments, or is it only deposit then pay in full? No, people can make, you can build as many line items in the payment schedule as you want. So you can build, I just built a simple one with a deposit and then a balance due. But people can log in and you can have payment 1, payment 2, payment 3, and a kind of like a payment plan. But people can pay any amount they want between the balance due and the final payment. So I set up, I'll go back and look at this event. If I go back and look at this event is set up for, actually that the one doesn't have the payment schedule. This event is set up so that it's $50 per registrant at registration and then the balance due by 6/1. So they can go in any time between the date that they register and the balance due and pay any amount they want. You also can build in like you can build in payment 1, you owe $50 more by January 1st. Payment 2, you owe $50 more by March 1st, whatever it is. But they can pay any amount they want between that time. Okay, so I think that's all the questions for right now. So last thing I want to show you guys is first day of camp solutions, like day of registration, stuff like that. So every event in the system, every registration in the system, has a payment record. So you'll see this registration that I have, this has a payment record. So I can come in here and view the payments of this registration. I can adjust the balance. So I could say, you know what, this person came in and paid by check. They paid $50. They came into the office and dropped off a check. And I can say, check number, and I can say adjust. And I can adjust any of these payment records. But a lot of the time we have people come in and say, well, day of, when people come to drop off their daughter at camp, sometimes they haven't paid in full or they want to purchase merchandise. So we have a tool called Sales Station that can accommodate kind of day of check-in and payment for events. So you'll see this event has an order number here. It also had this, this has an order number and a registration number. So I have my order, which contains this registration. I have a $50 payment. They owe $225. So we have an app in the Apple App Store called Sales Station. And Sales Station is really two things. It's a mobile POS device, so you can have a cash register on an iPad. You can sell merchandise through that register. You can sell t-shirts, camp care packages, whatever you want. You also can check people in using Sales Station and have them pay a balance due if they have a balance due. or if they add to their balance due within SalesStation. So we had a couple Girl Scouts councils use that this past summer, where the day of check-in at the bus, they had a line, and each person brought their paperwork if they had to bring paperwork, and then they used SalesStation to check in each attendee and have them pay off any balance dues that they had. So the hardware that you need for SalesStation is really an iPad. If you want to use a credit card swiper, we have a MagTech credit card swiper, which is about $100. Other than that, everything's included in your service. So SalesStation, I'm not going to go through configuring it. It's real easy to configure. It takes about 10 minutes. You can configure SalesStation. What I'm going to show you now is what the application looks like when you launch it on an iPad. So if I go to SalesStation here, I'm going to click on Cash Register. And so this is really what this looks like when I launch this on an iPad in day of registration. So you'll see I have a cash register where I can add items to my cart. So I can say they want to buy, this person came in and they want to buy Care Package 1, and I can actually charge them right through the app using a credit card swiper. I can charge them $25. I also can use this not just to sell items. So they come and they want to, you know what, I want to not just check in Jenny, I want to buy her a care package. You can charge them for that care package. You can just use it as a check-in device. So I can say come here, and I can say search orders, and I can search for a person. I also can search by order number, which I put in here. You'll see here's James Scouter, Jenny's registration for Adventure Days. I can check in Jenny. I can say, okay, Jenny's here. I can check her in. I can also say, well, Jenny owes $225. So I can say she's got to pay that amount. And I can put this right in here into the cart. It says Adventure Days was $375. She actually has these discounts. Discount $100, she paid $50. And you can actually charge her the remaining amount and swipe her parents' or guardian's credit card right in the spot. She can also, you know, Jenny wants an additional t-shirt. And you can add a t-shirt to that order as well. So SalesStation really kind of closes that gap day of registration, where not only can you check them in, but you can charge them for their balance due, as well as any other additional items that you want to charge them as part of that day of check-in registration. So SalesStation is a very powerful tool that's really included in your fee. So the only thing you have to have is an iPad, and if you want a credit card swiper, you can technically charge these people anything. You know, you can charge them just for the t-shirt, you can charge them the balance due, you can charge them manually and enter in their credit card information, or you can swipe their credit card if you have a MagTech swiper. So that's something we encourage people using because it is included in your package. Again, there's a couple hardware items, but it is included. So again, that kind of wraps up the webinar for the day. I appreciate you guys attending. Again, last thing I'll go through one more time is the subscription cost. So all packages include event registration, but you do want to check your contract for the level that you guys are on. So bronze is limited to 2,500 registrations. Silver and gold have unlimited and lower fees. You can add additional allowances to bronze. If you guys have any questions, you can contact David or myself or Brooks or Danilo through support@doubleknot.com, and we'll get you in contact with him. If you guys want training on event registration, you can purchase professional service hours. You can also purchase professional service hours for us to actually build your resident camps and then train you guys on how to manage them in Doubleknot. So again, thank you for attending the webinar. We will post this link in the next couple days in the training video section. If you guys have any questions on building resident camps, best approaches to building, you want us to review any setups, please do not hesitate to contact support. Last question I have is, will there be a webinar on polling reports needed for camp? Yeah, we can do a webinar in the spring maybe on camp, specific resident camp reports, we can do that. If you guys have any other questions, again, please contact support. Thank you very much for attending.